Alright. Hi guys, my name is Dante, and welcome back to Outlandish Curiosity. So I'm going for finishing up this page in the first half of this episode. Decided to start with the mountain, since it's taking like the main attention point. Later on, I'm moving on to this mountain to add a little bit, like it's a much lower contrast, but still we need a more definition on these darker spots of the forests. And then the last thing we need to tweak is the shape of this bridge and the path to the right. Maybe we'll add a little bit more definition to the clouds, just add a few smaller strokes here and there. And I think generally the picture will feel pretty consistent in detail and look pretty majestic. So yeah, the mountain is a definite upgrade. I tweaked the brush a little bit. You never tweak the brush as much as when you paint some kind of landscapes. Simply because eventually you just feel like you wanna minimize the amount of action when you're painting small details. So you end up with kind of creating a detail with just one stroke. Like a spot of the forest that I'm doing here is pretty much just one brush stroke work. I don't then go and do, more customized shapes or use an even smaller brush size, because that'll take an unreasonable amount of time. Although it will save some time comparing to painting first and then chopping off with the opposite color to get a custom shape. Smaller brush size is a better option. But also what's saving a lot of time, even when you're working with a smaller brush size trick, is just adding more randomization to the brush. Right now, I added a bit more of the size jittering. Hopefully it makes for a bit of a stronger variation in the stroke. Like you can see, I can't really paint just a boring cylinder of the stroke, even on a small brush size. Smaller brush size requires stronger jitters and stuff like that, simply because that kind of detail will just not be noticeable, and it will end up being just a boring line. Even when on a bigger size, we have a lot of fun going on with the different quality of the edge of the stroke and everything. So yeah, this is an important little trick to do. I don't know, should I even like specifically make this brush even stronger and save it as a small brush? Probably a good idea, so I'll tweak that around and then we'll finish up the mountains and then move on to the bridge and the path. Wow, this is looking actually pretty dope. I wonder, probably even on a bigger size of the brush. Yeah, it totally works out. So just adding some weird jitters and whatever. When it's a dual brush, it will still make for some of a sustainable edge, so it feels more defined, sharper in some areas, like a little bit, giving you a hint that this is a solid brush stroke, contrary to when it's just a singular brush with a bunch of jitter. Like if I turn off this dual brush thing, it's just a fuzzy brush. Which is not a disaster, but this is way nicer. And what I like about it is that it's just going naturally with the fact that you make a smaller brush, the variation will be still strong, but you will be able to make smaller details. But on a bigger size of the brush, when you're using a big brush, you still, that means you're working on a lower level of detail, so you're not sure about the smaller details. So it's a good idea to have a messier stroke there as well. So it would look more undefined and artistic until you decide to put more detail into that part with a smaller brush. So it makes sense. I'm not gonna be even calling this a small brush, it's just gonna be, this new version that I'm tweaking, 2.1. Nice. Satisfied for today. In a couple of days I'll wanna tweak something else again. Boom. Top part done. Really like the way these lighter spots on the hills turned out, these ones, all over the place. They somehow brought this extra realistic thing to it, as if this is, what, a bunch of stones, I guess? It looks really cool, and the lightness of them makes it very pretty, and just increasing the amount of detail and variety of detail, not just dark bushes but also lighter stuff. So yeah, there we go. I love how these mountains look, especially this one. It's just like it literally raised from the ground, like with an explosion, and it just has whatever the amount of grass it used to have, but on a bigger surface. That's why there's a lot of spaces in between. I guess that's somewhat how mountains work. Only not in such a obvious shape, but I kinda like it that way. Especially the fact that the page will cut exactly in the middle of Gilbert, so we'll have like that mountain on that side and smooth transition to the right with the forest as an important key point. So now let's fix the bridge a little bit, add more detail to it. And in here we'll also do some niceness. And that will finally be it. And this is taking a while, like already an hour of this episode on this. So mostly it's gonna be this page, I guess. But we're definitely making a transition to the next page in this episode, because that's what I planned for. I couldn't even hit the table, I just touched it. So it would be nicer for you guys on the microphone. I'm caring. Alright, let's do these things I mentioned just now. Alright, this is it for the page. Big progress today, looking dope. One of the best pages in the book, if I dare say so myself. Now moving on to the next page. And in this page, Gilbert is going towards an unusual monument. There's a big story that Gilbert is telling on the 50% of this page spread, as you can see. There's a kind of a myth. There were two people that were in love, and then I don't remember exactly, and you guys will read that in the book. Somehow something tragic happened, and then they turned into the statue that kept them together forever. And in between these two, like, twisted columns, there's a whole bunch of strings, and wind is blowing through them and making a beautiful sound. So that's what Gilbert is talking about. And in the next page, he is collecting this red piece of cloth that he found being stuck to this monument, and he assembled it into this kind of a bow on his little skull mask that he got from the tribe that he visited in earlier pages. So this will be the end of the chapter, so probably we're gonna somehow work on these pages together or something, but today let's just start marking in this one. Fix up the contrast a little bit, search better implementations of things and whatever. Let's start. I recently read somewhere that the beautiful red dusk, when you're looking at the sky in the evening and it has these beautiful purple colors, that wouldn't exist without pollution. Like, it's heavily reliant, this effect, on the amount of dust and other particles in the air, so it doesn't happen everywhere or every time. Like in the desert, it probably happens a lot since there's a lot of dust going on everywhere, but in a jungle forest kind of situation, it might not happen, unless there's some kind of heavy industrial area located on this island that we have no idea about yet. That's as far as I understood it. Maybe there are more ways to get this effect in the evening sky, but as far as I'm concerned, that's how it goes. I used to live in an industrial city. We had the most awesome landscapes every evening. It was so beautiful. So, doing some progress with colors, adding some interesting stuff. I don't know, just bringing the colors to something more adequate. This grass color is a bit insane. Like, there's nothing wrong with having really bright grass, bright leaves, really, a bright green color, but on average it's just not gonna happen. This color is not gonna happen, simply because we're not painting like a flat surface that is bright green. This is a whole bunch of leaves and trees and whatever. There's much more shadow than the actual light caught on the surfaces of the leaves. So that's why when you're painting a landscape, you paint all the bushes and trees darker than just the surface where just a small grass is growing, even though that small grass is also darker than it could be for the same reason. Grass is sticking out vertically, so it's catching less light and casting kind of more shadow. Vertical stuff is darker and horizontal is brighter. Basic rule of thumb for any landscape. Alright, so this is the progress for today on the new page. Much better base. I can see how we'll continue this in a pretty cool fashion. In Outlandish Curiosity, it's important to just nail down the technique of painting a lot of bushes, a lot of green stuff, and the rest gets more simple because it's a smaller surface on the page. Already started fixing the hat, again from this generic whatever that is, to an actual adventurer kind of hat. Working out pretty well. We're gonna have to make sure to fix this place. The contrast situation is a bit too strong for readability, like it will be a struggle to figure out. Like this area should be really bright and this area should be really dark. So maybe we'll make the bush brighter. I guess it doesn't necessarily obligate it to be so dark. So yeah, we'll go with some kind of like sky reflection color or something like that. And we're getting a softer transition already. Something like that, maybe. For now, this is it. Yeah, this page is to come, but the greatest achievement was this page looking pretty cool. You kind of want to print it on a big thing and hang it on the wall. Looking kind of cool, satisfying. So yeah, tell me guys what you think about the progress there, about the progress here, and we'll just continue this in the next episode and the episode after that. And I thank you for watching if you did. I guess you did if you're here. Leave a like and subscribe, tell a friend. Adjust the brush, do whatever you want, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Seriously though, this brush is so much nicer. Like, it just saves a lot of time with the fact that it has this natural whatever shape. Cool.